Hello and welcome to episode 44 of Life in General. My name is Nick.
And I am QAnon.
What the hell? You gotta start like that?
You just call me Q.
You really gotta start like that?
Sure, why not?
I can't believe... Oh,
I know.
Hold on. So, as always, any questions or comments, you can email at contact@lifeingeneralpodcast.com. Check us out on our website, which is lifeingeneralpodcast.com, obviously. Mm-hmm. We're on Facebook. Pop quiz for Ian. What's our Twitter handle, Ian?
What the fuck are you asking me? I don't listen to our show. I'm just kidding. I honestly don't know it. I don't pay attention to that stuff.
So our Twitter handle is @LIGpod. I don't know. I figured after 44 episodes you'd...
No.
No? Still nothing?
No. Maybe after 54. 64.
Hey, you know what? Maybe you should write it in your notes sometime. Oh, that's right. You don't bring notes.
Don't bring notes.
No notes for Ian. So, yeah, check out all of our previous episodes on our website. We're on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play Music, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher. We're newly on iHeartRadio and Spotify.
Yeah.
So, yeah, check us out and follow the show on there. And I don't know.
Tell us if we suck or not.
Well...
Mm-hmm. But I am QAnon, so don't push me too far. I know where you live.
So, now tell me, so we're going to talk a little politics in this episode, just to give you a fair warning. It's something we haven't done in a while.
Well, I'm going to try and keep it lighthearted, though.
Yeah, Ian's going to try.
I'm going to try.
So what the whole Q... What exactly is all that?
I know... It's an internet person who claims to have all the inside dirt on the deep state.
This is the thing where the Clintons are running like the
pedophile ring and lizard people. I mean, it's whatever crazy conspiracy theory thing you can think of. It's probably there. And now people are showing up at Trump rallies saying we're with Q
or I am
Trump.
Yeah, I am Q or something like that is what it says.
Because they think that Q or the deep state is against Trump. So
yeah, and they believe that Donald Trump is part of their movement also.
The movement to destroy they're in support of Donald Trump.
I know. They believe that
he's going to just take down the deep state.
He supports them is what I'm saying. He believes in their crazy nonsense.
And if it gets him applause, he will.
Well, I mean, he's a birther, so I mean, he does believe in some crazy bullshit.
I think he even started that, to be honest with you.
He might have. See, but the whole thing about the whole birther movement that never made sense is, Ian, if you were born on the moon,
but my mom was an American citizen,
you're still a natural-born citizen.
I know. I don't know what. I know.
Now, and I do believe that that President Obama was born in Hawaii. So yes. I don't believe that he was born in Kenya. But
even if he were,
it wouldn't fucking matter.
It wouldn't matter.
He would still be a U.S. citizen.
Yes. But you know what? That's not what that was about.
Unless
that was about a black man being president.
I know. The only time that he wouldn't be a U.S. citizen is if his mother had renounced her U.S. citizenship.
Right, which she hadn't.
No. Yes, we're not going to be talking about Q or anything like that.
No, I was just, I don't know. It was a spur of the moment thing.
I bet.
I'm not good at planning shit out.
obviously.
Right.
No, Ian.
Yes.
So we just had the primary election in Michigan. What who'd you vote for?
I voted for Abdul for governor.
Did you?
Yeah. Because we need a progressive governor.
See, and that was the thing that I voted for Whitmer.
Gretchen Whitless, yeah.
Because I felt like, even though I liked a lot of things that Abdul al-Said, which is his name.
Yep. Doctor.
Yeah. I did agree with a lot of things he said. I just didn't. I don't believe that he would ever be able to win an election in the state of Michigan.
That doesn't mean that. Yeah, sure, but he's not going to. If people go, well, he can't win because he's brown and Muslim. So
but
I'm just not going to vote for him because he can't win. So he never will under those circumstances. Because that means even people who support him aren't going to vote for him.
The way I look at it, though, is Gretchen Whitmer had a lot of the same ideas, believed a lot of the same things. She has a name in the state of Michigan.
Her agenda is it's a carbon copy of Hillary's in 2016.
It is not.
It really is.
It's not.
Expanding the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act's been gutted so much, you can't expand it anymore. It is dead. You need to focus on doing something new. Same old is not going to work. It's not going to cut it.
But she's already said that she's in favor of a Medicare for all plan also.
It's not what she said in her ads.
It's what she has said in town hall meetings.
Well,
so, I mean, it's...
I don't go to her town halls, so...
But what I'm saying, though, is if... And I know the big knock on Gretchen Whitmer is that she's part of the Democratic, quote-unquote, Democratic establishment.
Yeah.
If that's the case, that means progressives are winning because she is a progressive. She might not be Bernie Sanders progressive, but she still is a very progressive Democrat. And she's fought in this state for many years. Well, she's been... How long has she been in the...
A long time.
I mean, over a decade, I want to say. It's like 12 years.
She worked in the Granholm administration, so.
Yeah, so she's been fighting for progressive causes in the state for over a decade. She has.
Don't get me wrong. I'm going to vote for her in the general because I have two options. I have Bill Shitty or Gretchen Whitless.
But that's something that irritates me, and this is the thing that irritates me about fucking liberals is they say stupid shit like that. But it's just, I think
stupid shit. What do I do? I cannot vote for her, and then we get Bill Shooty.
But what I'm saying though is it's not witless. She has really good plans. She has she probably, I would say there's probably a good 90+% overlap between her and Abdul Al-Said.
We'll see. Like I said, she's got my vote in the general.
But because she's not 100% of the other guy.
No,
and because Bernie Sanders didn't support her, a lot of people in the state.
We'll sit it out, right? I'm not sitting it out.
And that's the thing that absolutely fucking irritates me.
No, I know. I'm not sitting it out. I did the same thing in 2016. Hillary was not my choice, but I voted for her.
There was a much bigger difference between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders than there is from Gretchen Whitmer and Abdul Al-Said. They are much closer than a lot of people think they are, and I think the media in the state has played into a bunch of that too.
Well, possibly. But
because, like I said, she has talked about Medicaid for all or Medicare for all. Now, granted, she's talked also about. See, and this is the thing. I think she's been more realistic when it comes to health care in the state of Michigan because you're not going to pass a Medicare for all.
No, but
in the state of Michigan. Now, hold on 1 second, because Republicans are going to control the state Congress outside of the governor's mansion, hopefully. So you know that you're not going to be able to pass something like that. Mm-hmm. I think the one thing a lot of people are tired of in this country, and especially in the state, are politicians that get up there and talk about these grand ideas, but they aren't able to fucking pass any of it. So I think she's been, even though she has stated several times, and I've heard her in audio clips and in video clips in these town halls talking about Medicare for all. Mm-hmm. In her platform, you're right. On her website, it talks about expanding health care coverage. It is rather vague, but I think that she's been more realistic when she talks about what she wants to do.
Okay. Everything you say is true, but in the world we're living in...
But that makes her a bad person.
Republicans are extreme. The whole party has been pulled so far to the extreme for,
But their base will vote for that. Democratic base will not vote for that.
That's my problem, though. We need some extreme. We need rational extreme, but we need extreme.
In the state of Michigan, Ian, and you know that for living here for most of your life, to win a state election, you're going to have to win. You're going to have to get voters outside of Ann Arbor, Detroit, Grand Rapids,
I understand
and
that. I understand. And I've been saying it ever since.
You're going to have to win voters in Jackson.
That's what I was saying. Win voters I knew about Sri Thanadar before I knew about Abdul. Yeah. And I liked him too, but I just said, there's no way, outside of what you said, up north, Upper Peninsula, none of those people are going to vote for someone whose English is broken and isn't his first language.
Yeah.
There's just no way. I understand that. But the problem is the Republicans on all levels of government right now are pushing everything so far to the extreme. Unless Democrats start going extreme, we just keep giving up ground here and there. It's small pieces of ground because they keep pulling and pulling, and Democrats aren't willing to fight back, to pull it back. And we're constantly moving towards a nationalist government.
Look at it this way.
A theocracy, too, for the record.
Look at it this way. What would you rather have? A Republican in office or a progressive light?
if those are my two choices, a progressive light. Of course.
Because if Abdul Al-Said won the nomination, you would have a Republican in office.
We still might. You don't realize how strongly people are going to be against her because she worked with Granholm, because she's a woman, because she's a Democrat, and because she's not willing to fight the way that the Republicans
It's definitely not a lock by anything.
But not at all.
Not at all. But
and I'm just afraid it's going to be another 2016 situation.
But here's the thing. She is more likely to win voters who are undecided on the west side of the state, in the northern parts of the state, than a man named Abdul Al-Said.
Perhaps.
Regardless of position.
But like I said, if
that is just the flat truth.
Okay. And you're probably right. The problem is that if the people who agree with him aren't willing to vote for him because there's no way he can win in a general election, then we're never going to have people that are like him with Arabic names or Muslims. We're never going to have that representation. Not if our side won't even vote for them when they want to.
This is the thing. We need to, regardless of their position, if they're a conservative Democrat, whatever, we need more people with D's next to their name.
Oh, I totally agree.
In charge.
I totally agree. But the problem is if we keep getting the same old D's, they're going to keep fucking losing.
She is not the same Democrat. She is not Jennifer Granholm. And I'm one of the few people that will say that Jennifer Granholm was not that terrible of a governor. Did she make some poor choices? Yes. She did. But I think she did what she had to do with the Republican legislature to pass what she wanted to pass.
When does that excuse become null and void? Because Republicans get shit passed all the time, even with Democratic-controlled issues. So the Republicans can do it. Why can't the Democrats?
As far as
that excuse was for Obama. He had opposition left and right. He couldn't get what he wanted, so his compromises are what we got stuck with. Now you're saying that with Granholm. When do Democrats stop saying, I did the best I could because they were stopping me?
So that was
Republicans never fucking do that. So they say they're being opposed when they're not even being opposed.
That was the argument for the Affordable Care Act, that they had to make concessions with Lieberman.
Yeah, and I know they did.
But
I'm not saying they didn't.
Here's the thing. If Lieberman was a Republican and not
a Republican.
Hold on. Yes, at the time he was a conservative Democrat. If he would have had a R next to his name, you would have never had the Affordable Care Act passed. We would not have had the votes to pass it, because Harry Reid wouldn't have been the leader of the Senate.
I'm not arguing with that. What I'm saying is Republicans find a way to get their shit pulled when they don't have the votes. And Democrats never fucking do.
Regardless of where you fall on the Democratic ideology spectrum, we need more people with a D next to their name than our people, because we need Democrats in charge.
And what I'm saying is we're not going to get them because they don't have any spine.
Because we need Well, that's a problem with who we're putting in the races.
Yeah.
We need more people I think we had two very good Democratic candidates. I would have been fine if Abdul Al-Said would have won the nomination. Mm-hmm. I would have gladly voted for him come November.
Right.
I feel the exact same way for Gretchen Whitmer. I think she will be a fantastic governor if she wins.
I'm going to vote for her, and it remains to be seen what I think of her. At this point, it's going to have to be.
But the thing is, you can go back. You can go back and look at what she has run on. See, that's the other thing with the other.
Oh, and I will.
That's the thing with the other two people that are running for the nomination. Neither one of them have worked in government in the state. So at least you know where she stands on a lot of these issues, because she's been talking about it for 10 plus years and acting on it.
Yeah, believe me, I'm going to look at her record for sure.
I mean, she was an openly strong advocate for same-sex marriage going back to the early 2000s in the state.
Most Democrats were.
No, they weren't. Even President Obama wasn't.
I know. Well, he couldn't have been. He had to come out. It was later.
But what I'm saying is, she wasn't behind the scenes talking about it. She was talking about on the floor of the Senate in Lansing in the early 2000s.
All right. Like I said, she's got my vote regardless, but I'm leery.
I'm just saying, when you look down at the things that she has voted for, I just don't see where people can sit here and say that she's not a progressive candidate.
We'll see. My problem is just I'm tired of all the Democrats saying we can't go to the extreme. We can't push these limits backwards or towards the other side because we'll come off as being
no. See, the problem is
that's my problem. I want extreme. I want extreme Democrats. I want fucking socialists running.
We have to get Democrats in charge first.
I understand that. Because
this is the way you run. You win the votes of people on the west side of the state. People from Iowa.
And I'm tired.
People from Nebraska. I'm tired. This is how you win. This is how you win their vote, by getting Democrats in office and proving that we can put policies in place that can help the average person.
But we can't because the Republicans will not let them, and they push the narrative. They control the narrative now.
That's why
we are literally. I'm talking 2 steps away from nationalist country here.
But that's why we need. See, the Democrats have been focused on national elections for a decade plus,
and they're losing them.
I know that, but the thing that's really hurt them is they have not focused on local state elections for a decade or more. Mm-hmm. And now you have over 30 states fully run by Republicans.
Right.
So yes, when you have Republicans that run the state house, run the state senate, and sit in the governor's mansion, it's a lot easier to push your agenda through. And that's why, regardless of where you fall on that ideological spectrum, we need more Democrats winning these state and local elections.
Again, I'm not disagreeing with you. You understand where I'm coming from too, right?
I completely understand where
on
you're
the tug of war level,
and I agree with what you're saying wholeheartedly. But what I'm saying is you're talking about 8, 9, and 10, and we're still at 1, 2, and 3. The Democrats are so far behind the Republicans because we do not control
anything.
But we need to have control of state legislatures to be able to put policies in place, and then we can move on to 6, 7, 8, and 9.
My problem is I don't think there will be anything left for them to work on.
But that's
because they'll have already fallen into the puddle in the tug of war fight.
Yes, and that is and that's likely. But the problem is
that's not a country you should want your children to grow up in, though.
But like I said, trying to start at 7, 8, 9 instead of 1, 2, and 3.
It works for the Republicans.
You're not going to get there. But the Republicans have already had the fucking control, Ian. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but they didn't. They didn't when the Tea Party started, because that's what's taken over.
In state elections, yes, they did.
The Tea Party didn't even exist before 2008.
I know that, but in state elections, the states have been run by Republicans for 20. The state we're sitting in right now, for most of our life, has been run by Republicans.
Not really.
Yes.
No, we had Governor Blanchard.
I'm not talking about governors, Ian. I'm talking about state legislatures.
Right.
I'm talking about state house and state senate. In states across this country have been run by Republicans for 20 plus years. Regardless of if you're a Republican or a Democrat governor, you're only going to be able to accomplish what.
I understand how that fucking works. I'm just. You do, like I said, as long as you understand where I'm coming from.
I do understand where you're coming.
I just think we're on a precipice, and if we fall off, it doesn't fucking matter.
You're right, because
10 steps ahead down the road.
We do need more progressive policies in place.
We need the extreme to pull it back.
But we need to gain control first. Is what I'm saying.
I don't think that's gonna make any fucking difference. We're gonna get control of a sinking ship, and it'll be too late.
But if we try to start, the problem is if you try to go too extreme to win the election, you're not going to win it.
But I don't see why not. Bernie does so well in his polling and everything.
You know what, though?
I don't think Bernie
Sanders would have beat Donald Trump either.
I do. I do. I believe he would have. Bernie-crats across the country are gaining ground because that agenda talks to people. The agenda of inclusiveness and stuff, that doesn't talk to white middle-class America.
It wins some. Most of the people that Bernie Sanders has endorsed have lost.
No, several candidates.
Several have won. No, a majority of the candidates that Bernie Sanders has endorsed have lost.
The ones I have heard of.
State and local elections are different than national elections.
Perhaps, and I'm not disagreeing with that actually either. Like I said, I see us at the edge of a precipice, and the only thing I can think of to pull us out is to go extreme, because I don't want it. If it goes over, I don't know. And I can't live in that country. I literally cannot live in that country. That's good. We're going to exist in.
We need to be, like you said, we do need to be more. We do need to push it more to the far progressive side. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to. Progressive policies have helped people across this country for 100 years. But the problem is, like I said, we
don't control the narrative.
We don't control the narrative, and we need to control the narrative first before we can push an agenda.
But we can't if we only have people who are only half-assed talking about shit. That's my problem. Gretchen Whitmer's, her ads were literally. She mentioned expanding Medicaid. That was it. That was her and her ads. That's what people see. No, most of your average voters are not paying attention to her town meetings. In her expanding Medicare, great. That's fine, but that's not anything. And then fixing the damn roads. And then that was how she ended most of her ads. Then she started starting her ads with that.
Yeah, the whole
that's nothing. There's no substance there.
No, when people talk about the issues with roads in the state, I've talked about it on our show before. It's not a money issue. For the most part, it's not a money issue.
Mm-hmm. No, I know. That's not even the point. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
This is the thing that no one talks about.
She's half-assing everything, and that's what literally, now they're talking about running Joe Biden. I love Joe Biden. I really do. He can't win against Trump.
No.
So why are they even talking about it? There's still people trying to get Hillary to run again. Are you fucking kidding me?
But this is the problem.
This is the establishment Democrats I'm talking about.
Is there aren't... I don't see anyone out there right now that is able to win the Democratic nomination and beat Donald Trump. That's the problem I see with the Democratic
Perhaps,
Party.
But I don't think going with the status quo is even an attempt. You're not even trying that.
But what I'm saying though is if you get, if you take someone that's a far left extreme candidate and put him against Donald Trump, he's not going to win. He's going to win California. He'll win New York. He'll win New York.
Yeah.
He'll win the states that Democrats normally win. But he's not going to win Ohio. Yeah. He's not going to win Michigan. He's not going to win Minnesota, Wisconsin, Florida. He's not going to win these states.
A lot of those policies are policies that talk to people.
I don't care where you fall on the spectrum. I want a fucking Democrat in the White House.
I agree, but it's not going to make any difference because no one's voting for the Democrats they're putting up.
But that's what I'm saying is we need to have it's still early on. We still got over 2 years.
I understand that, and that's the presidential, but. I mean, as much as they talk about the midterms, there is some level of indication of what to expect from the once you get to the midterms for the general. Yeah. And, 2020.
And someone who could beat Donald Trump?
Who?
Gavin Newsom.
I don't think so. I'd have to look at. I know he's progressive on some things.
On a lot of things.
But
he was the mayor of San Francisco for quite a while.
Yeah,
also.
Well. It doesn't. Being a mayor is very different than being a president.
Oh, I know that. He's helped run the state of California for the past 4 years.
Being a lieutenant governor is different than being a president.
Yeah, well, a businessman is president right now.
No, I wouldn't even call him a businessman. He's a shyster.
I mean, he's ran businesses his life.
He's run them into the ground. He's a shyster. He's a con man.
Even if you run businesses into the ground, you're still a businessman, I guess.
I guess.
But he had no legislative background. So I mean, Gavin Newsom is somebody that has the charisma that could beat and the political chops that could beat.
Our country expects our Democrats to be perfect, and they expect absolutely nothing from Republicans. I don't understand that.
That has more to do with their base than anything.
And that's the other problem. Why is it that Donald Trump has a base of about 40%, but he wins elections? How is that possible? If his base is only 40%.
Because Democrats don't go out and vote.
Oh, yeah. No
That's
shit.
It.
I know.
They're talking about how this past the election last week.
Huge increase. It was 52%.
Yeah, that's it.
52%.
And I thought it was lower. I thought it was in the 40s. I didn't know it was
52%. It was just over 2 million.
That's ridiculous.
I understand. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But I can say this.
But only 47% of Republicans turned out.
Oh, well.
So that's an indicator of something, I guess.
Yeah, but so the one thing I can say is, so I've been into politics since 88, 87.
Yeah, when we were old enough to really comprehend some of it.
Yeah, so I was, pretty young.
Yeah, I remember the debates between Dukakis and Bush. Yeah, Bush Senior.
Yeah. So over the course of the past 30 years, I don't remember ever there being as much enthusiasm on the Democratic side going into a midterm election than there is right now.
Well, I just hope it's not false optimism. That's all.
Well, no, and that's the other thing is I've read a lot of people talking about how, and almost laughing about how people are talking about this blue wave coming,
right?
And they're saying it's not a blue wave; it's a red wave in disguise. Because I've seen online people talking about how they're actually Republicans that will vote for Republican come November, but they were casting votes for Democrat in the election last week.
That happens in every primary where you have to go party line.
Yeah, but and it was the same thing going in the 2016 election. You had a lot of people that are coming out of the voting booth saying, "Yeah, I voted for Hillary Clinton," but they really didn't.
Yeah.
So it's really going to be hard to see.
So what you're saying is not only we're a country of idiots, we're a country of liars.
Pretty much.
Yeah, lack the courage of our fucking convictions.
Yeah.
I voted for Abdul, and I have no problem admitting that.
Yeah, but that's how Americans are, though. If you walk down the street right now, anywhere in the country, and you ask every single person, "Hey, who did you vote for in the last election?" Most of them aren't going to tell you that.
Which is stupid. Again, to me, it's cowardly. Stand up for what you believe in. If you cast a vote, you're casting a vote based on your beliefs. Stand up for it. You're willing to stand up for your beliefs in invisible people in the sky. Stand up for your beliefs for real people.
Break.
Hey, that's my concern. The Department of Justice is trying to open up a religious freedom task force. You know what that means? I hope you understand what that fucking means.
You know what that means, right? It means elections have consequences and vote for a fucking Democrat.
Yeah, I understand that. I always vote for Democrats. I never vote Republican.
Okay. Vote for Democrats that can win elections.
Well, at the end of the day, that's all you get. You have one choice. And the big ones, you have one choice.
Yeah.
That's what a primary is for.
But you have a choice before that.
I voted for Abdul.
I know.
And he lost. So whatever. I have one choice.
But the problem is the problem I have with a lot of people, a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters.
I know they won't vote.
They won't vote.
I know one specifically who will not vote for Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah.
Regardless. And I had the same argument with him. I said, "You're cutting off your nose to spite your face."
Yeah.
But he will not cast his vote. He did not cast his vote for Hillary, and he will not cast his vote for her.
I think the thing that will help Gretchen Whitmer, and I think the reason that she will win come November, is the fact that the legalization of marijuana is going to be on the ballot. And that is going to drive, I think it's going to really drive Democrats to the polls.
I hope so. I mean, if that's what it takes. But that's now. What does that mean in 2020? Do they all just stay home then?
And that's the thing. I mean, historically, Democrats stay home in midterm elections.
Well, I'm not a conspiracy nut, but I've studied history enough to know trends. And when I see the trends that I'm seeing coming out of the Trump administration and other parts of the government right now, they never end well, especially for people who are free thinkers. Never end well. So get out and vote. Unless you want to be told how to think and what to believe and how to believe and how to worship and all that other bullshit. And this isn't just for atheists. This is for people who don't follow the evangelical line that Jeff Sessions and Mike Pence follow,
which is most people in the country.
Yeah, if you want to be able to worship freely, truly freely, do not let the government develop a task force for religion. Not only is it unconstitutional to the extreme, but it is dangerous. It is very fucking dangerous.
Potentially.
It shouldn't fucking happen. It is dangerous.
You're right.
It is dangerous.
Happen,
even in the thought of it is fucking dangerous. But if it actually happens.
But like I said, it all goes back to putting out nominees.
We don't have any control over that.
We do, because we vote for them.
We vote for them in the primaries.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it.
We had three choices.
But that's what I'm talking about. Voting for people that can win elections.
And how do you know that who can win elections? And granted, I understand.
You don't.
You know the brown Muslim's not going to win an election.
But the thing is, Bernie Sanders should have been the nominee running as Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right. Okay.
Going through that process, everyone,
and they haven't learned because they're not. They're talking about the same old.
Yes. And with this with the primary that just happened in Michigan, a candidate. 2 of the 3 were people that were at least on the progressive side.
Oh, I thought all three. If you're saying Gretchen Whitmer is on the progressive side,
she is.
Then all three of them were.
I think no, because I think what's his name?
Shree.
Yeah, he wasn't even a Democrat until just before deciding to run for.
His platform was progressive.
Yeah, well,
I didn't vote for him, but his platform was progressive.
I think it was all.
All you can do is go by what their platform.
I think he was a Democratic huckster, basically.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't vote for him, so
no, I didn't either. But if you look through the things that Gretchen Whitmer has stood on the floor and argued and voted for, she is a progressive. She has fought for progressive values. Granted, maybe not.
Hillary was fighting for a lot of progressive things too.
And here's the thing: the big knock. I kept reading the big knock on Gretchen Whitmer was that Blue Cross Blue Shield had donated money to her campaign.
Okay.
Which, from everything I found online, I can't find where that's actually true. I found where a lot of Blue Cross Blue Shield employees had donated money to her.
Okay, which has nothing to do with Blue Cross.
No,
right?
Which it doesn't. But everyone's saying.
But I guess it depends on how you do that. We're talking employees, as in like chairman of the board employees.
No.
Because that makes a difference.
No, from everything I haven't found anything where any top level executives were donating money.
And what
to
kind
of
money are we talking about too? The dollar amount makes a big difference too.
I don't know.
Because Abdul said he wasn't taking any donation, any corporate donations.
Oh, speaking of that, I did see that the Democrats came out and said that they're going to start accepting money from fossil fuel companies.
Oh, so we should just give up then, because who fucking cares anymore?
I thought you were going to keep this on a
when you say shit like that, it's like, what the fuck does it matter?
But here's the thing, though.
It's over. Climate change is here. The world is fucking burning.
Here's the great thing about that.
And let's take more money from the people who set it on fire.
Here's the great thing about this whole situation is you read something like that in the media and you're like, oh, fuck, yeah, exactly what you said. What the hell are we doing, But it was just a rule they just enacted not too long ago that they were going to stop taking money. It was literally, I don't want to say
stop or start.
So they had put a rule in place just recently that they were going to stop accepting money.
Okay.
And then they came out today, I think it was, and reversed their decision. So it's not like they haven't been accepting money for decades.
It's not the point, though. We can literally walk outside and know that the world is fucking burning.
Yes, I know. England is in the middle of a record heat wave.
We've had record highs in this country all fucking summer.
I know that.
Wildfires. California is literally on fire. The state is fucking burning up.
Speaking of that, I don't know if you saw it or not, but it's gotten to the point now where they have inmates out fighting fires in California.
That's what I'm talking about. The fucking planet is burning. Mr. Trump, the planet is burning. You live here. You have to breathe the same fucking air we do. Why? Why are you letting this happen?
Because it all goes back to money.
Money isn't going to do you any good if you're suffocating.
But they don't think like that, though.
Well, they should. They're fucking idiots.
All they care about is lining their pockets. And it's not just them. Democrats do the same thing when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about money.
We need to get that out. It's too late. It doesn't fucking matter. I go back and forth. There's like days where I care, and there's days where I think, there's nothing I can do. These people are fucking lunatics. They don't give a shit. They're going to let us all fucking die. They don't fucking care.
Well, because
there's nothing we can do about it.
Because their mantra is, I've got mine, go get yours. And
it doesn't matter what their mantra is. It's just the reality of it. They're going to let us all fucking die.
Because they have
the human
theirs.
race
they don't give a shit.
Will not continue if the planet is on fire.
But here's the thing, though. A lot of them just don't believe that's true. A lot of them sit there and say, well, I guess there's two arguments that they use.
There's a couple, actually. There's more than two.
There's one that, I'll say...
because one I'm going to talk about.
The overwhelming thought is, one, that it doesn't exist. That's all bullshit.
Bullshit, yeah.
And the other one is that it does exist, and it's a naturally occurring thing, and that humans play no role in it.
Right.
Are the two major
ones.
Two major ones.
And then there's a smaller percentage that think
because you're always going to have people, regardless of the situation, that are going to go off the reservation. It's just like when
they're not going off the reservation. They're saying it doesn't matter because Jesus is coming back.
That's what I mean.
That's not off the reservation.
It's dumb.
That's 75% of the country.
And 75% of the country does not think
75% of this country thinks Jesus is going to come back eventually.
Well, I'm one of them.
Yeah, my point exactly.
You think I'm dumb?
Anyway, no, I don't think you're dumb. I think you're smart. But my point
going back to what I'm saying,
if you think you have eternal life when you die, you're less likely to care about what's going on now.
That's not true.
That is very true. That is very true.
But like I was saying, though,
ask any suicide bomber. It's very fucking true.
Well, that's different though, because
it's not different. It's the same.
That plays in a different
same
role.
mentality.
But going back to what I was saying, though, so you've got two major thought processes, and that's kind of where they go. It's either if you believe that either it doesn't exist or it exists, but we have no role in it, then it's a lot easier to say, well, let's not do anything about it because we can't fix it.
Right. But every scientist has proven that it.
Don't say every, because it's not every.
98% of the scientists, 98.
That's true.
8%.
That's true.
Believe and agree on the evidence that says man is playing a huge part of it.
Yes.
If you have 98% certainty on anything, go with it because it's probably fucking true.
You're right, and I'm one of the people that completely agree that global warming obviously does exist, and we play a large role in it.
Yes, and even if it doesn't, this is the thing that gets me. If self-preservation played a role in it, you would think, okay, maybe man doesn't play a role in it, but just in the off chance that we do, maybe we should make some fucking changes.
Well, yeah, because I've been saying it for a long time that look, if we're wrong, if
nothing fucking happens,
nothing happens. We have a more green country or world, and we
have workers who work on solar panels instead of working in fucking coal mines.
Yes, but if the other side is wrong, then the whole world is fucked.
Yes. Yeah,
I've been saying it for a long time.
I know it's Pascal's wager in reverse.
Yes,
it really is. But in this case, there's actually there's something at stake.
So this really wasn't the topic we were going to have for the show.
No, it wasn't. But hey, and I said I was going to keep it light, but I got really angry there. I was like, I could feel my blood pressure going up.
Oh, I figured we haven't talked politics in a while. So
I know. We've had some arguments though on the show, I think, recently.
Have we?
I'd have to go back and look. I know we argued quite a bit on the politics presidents when we did our president show.
So I guess the question is, Ian, do you want to continue to talk about this, or do you want to talk about our topic?
Well, let's just bring up the topic. We can maybe brush through it pretty quickly.
Well, some of it we can, some of it I don't know. So originally, this whole the topic came about because I was watching Bill Maher,
yeah,
and there's a lady on there talking about. I don't even know what the hell she was.
She wrote a book about it.
Well, is that what it was? Yeah, was it about this?
It was about all this, yeah.
But she had talked about the Liberty Amendments, which I had no clue what the hell they were about. And she had made a mention about how it's something that no one talks about.
No, yeah.
And so it was a book by, was it Mark Levin?
Yeah, and she wrote a book about it too.
But Mark Levin wrote a book back in 2013. It was a New York Times bestseller, debuted at #1, called The Liberty Amendments. And basically it's a set of 11 amendments that he believed would return the country to its true intent, basically.
Well, I guess her book is more about the backdoor dealings of how they're trying to get these amendments.
Correct. Yeah. So there's and there is a slight conspiracy aspect to all of it, but as far as I know, at least as recent as September of last year, there's a group of GOP lawmakers that got together and actually worked on outlining how to go about a constitutional convention, which they need 34 states, and there's already over 20 that have agreed to a convention. By the way, it would be the first convention since the drafting of the Constitution.
Yep.
And so basically, I guess we can just kind of run through some of these. The first amendment that he proposed would be to impose congressional term limits.
Which, for what it's worth, isn't a bad idea.
Well, and that's the thing, is term limits sound like a good idea when you on paper.
Right.
But I guess it's a way to stop what they call lifetime politicians, basically, from getting comfortable and not really following what their voters want them to accomplish.
Right.
But really, in the long run, it's detrimental to our society.
There's two ways you can look at it. It's detrimental, yes, because it requires, essentially, you've got basically politicians just campaigning instead of actually doing anything. They're just constantly campaigning.
Yeah.
Second, the other problem is when you figure in gerrymandering, which is a big part of the GOP's strategy, then you're just basically just cycling through the same candidate over and over again, and the policies are still being controlled by the GOP rather than the people.
Yeah, because when you have term limits, one of the biggest side effects of it is even if you have the most effective lawmaker out there, eventually he's not going to be able to be in office anymore.
Right.
So with a turnover, I don't remember how many. I didn't read exactly how long of a term limit they wanted, but regardless of what the term limit is, if you have high turnover, the only thing that's going to be the consistent there are going to be special interests, and
that's what they want. That's from what the one lady was talking about.
Special interest and lobbyists, so or the people who's going to run.
That's who's financing these. Essentially, according to her and her book, that's who's financing. It's the Koch brothers. It's, the lobbyists, the people with the money, PACs, super PACs.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it's while term limits probably have
they sound good.
They sound good,
they do
but
sound
like
good.
I said, in the long run, I think it would hurt the policymaking process.
It would. It has. I mean, it has with presidents. I feel. I mean, look at what Roosevelt was able to accomplish in 12 years. There's no other president who's been able to accomplish that much in that amount of time.
No,
or because they had less time, is what I'm saying. So
yeah,
but second one's a bad fucking idea across the board.
What's the second one? Repeal the 17th Amendment,
yeah,
which would return elections of U.S. senators back to state legislatures.
That means the people don't have really any say in who represents them, other than voting for the people in the legislature who choose. But look at the record. Even with Democrats, but specifically with Republicans, look at who these people choose to be their head of this department or that department. Yeah. Do you really want them choosing who's literally speaking on your behalf in the Senate? No.
Well, see, the way I kind of look at it, and I'll try to be real quick on this, is if you look at probably the most famous Senate race in American history, which was 1858, which was Abraham Lincoln against Stephen Douglas is what it was.
Okay.
The main question at the time was the expansion of slavery in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest problem about that race that people don't really think about was Lincoln and Douglas weren't on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
All the people, the voters in Illinois were voting for either Republican Congress or a Democrat.
Right, which
Congress.
is kind of how they do it in Britain. They vote for a party, and then the party picks their leader.
So when you have such an emphasis on a national stage, it really downplays the importance of local
necessity,
local issues.
Yeah,
whether it's roads or schools or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's no longer the issue in your local election, really.
If you don't have a say in who you put there,
because all you're looking at is, well, I need to vote in this party so I can get these members to the U.S. Congress.
Right. Yeah, it's a bad idea. And like I said, I said this before because Bill Maher is a strong advocate for having more senators if you have a bigger population, because he doesn't understand why Rhode Island has 2 senators and California has 2 senators.
Yeah.
And I see his point, but I don't agree. I don't know if more cooks in the kitchen is what we need.
See, and that's the other thing.
But I don't think we should leave up our representation to that kind of party line or party decision. We just can't do that.
Well, yeah, because when you look at underpopulated states,
mm-hmm.
in those circumstances, if the 17th Amendment were repealed, it'd be easier for corporations and the rich basically to buy Senate seats.
Right, exactly.
In those underpopulated states.
And they wouldn't have to spend that much money because they're only buying 2 seats.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's a bad idea repealing the 17th Amendment. Huge problem there.
Number 3 was impose term limits for Supreme Court justices and restrict judicial review, which I do
agree with half of that, not with the other half.
I agree with the second half of it, and a lot of people look at...
Oh, wait, I don't agree with the second half. Restricting judicial review. I mean, if they're doing their job, their job is to interpret the Constitution.
No, it's not. No, it is not. Judicial review was something that they gave themselves in 1803 with Marbury versus Madison. The Supreme Court
1803, that was 200 years ago.
Yes.
They've been doing it that way for 200 fucking years.
And
in many cases, it's been beneficial.
No, in a lot of...
it's been beneficial in civil rights cases.
You want to know something? If it wasn't for judicial review, separate but equal wouldn't have existed anyway.
They probably would have.
No, because it was a judicial review case.
It still would have existed. It may not have existed on the level that it did. It still would have existed in the South. There's no way it wouldn't have.
Yeah, the purpose of the Supreme Court is the last court of the final court of review is basically all it is. It was never intended to expand federal law or restrict it or whatever.
Right. But these are what I'm talking about is the cases where they have reviewed they're cases that have gone through the normal judicial process. They were the final. Brown versus Board of Education, Roe v. Wade. I mean, these are cases that went through the lower courts.
Roe v. Wade, they created law. The Supreme Court created law in Roe v. Wade.
They had to because that's how they interpreted the situation at the time.
But the thing is, that's not the intent of the court. If you want laws in place, you elect the people to change them. But
if you can't get the laws passed, that makes sense. The law, when it comes up to them, they have to determine if what is happening here is constitutional or not. And that's all they did. They said it's the right of abortion is constitutionally protected. Yeah, that makes a law to a degree, but that's not what that was about. That was about a woman going through the judicial process to guarantee her rights. You take that away, and now we don't have that. Where does somebody go if the government isn't if they have a grievance? Where do they go? Because then if you say the Supreme Court can't do that because that's making law,
but giving the court judicial review makes them the most powerful branch of the government, and that's not the way that the government was created.
Well, it's where it has worked
because with judicial review, where's the checks and balances on that? There are none.
Well, under the current circumstances, I would agree with you because there won't be.
And under any circumstances, there's not, regardless of who's in office.
Well, you would hope
there is no override of judicial review, and that's the issue.
If you get to a point where
let's not be too long on this because we're already like 50 minutes in the show.
Okay, real quick, it's just if you get to a point where the government is not making laws that protect your rights for this certain things, take gay marriage or something like that. How else are you supposed to, as a citizen, exercise your grievances with the government? Because it's essentially your argument is your constitutional rights are being infringed. How do you go about that without the Supreme Court?
It's a good question, but
and if you neuter the Supreme Court, then people like that will never have a voice ever. If they have a grievance, they will not have a voice. Yes, sometimes the Supreme Court has been, what do they call it, legislating to a degree. But if it's constitutionally viable, and it has been in many cases. If you don't
like the laws, you vote people in to change them.
Okay, yeah, you don't like the laws. That's fine. That's all sounds all pretty. But in this country, that's not how it fucking works.
But maybe it would be.
It wouldn't.
Hold on.
Getting rid of the Supreme Court's not going to change that.
Real quick before we move on. If there were no judicial review, and you had people in the streets marching for whatever the cause is, You don't think that they have a greater likelihood of change the people that are in office?
I really don't. Nope. Because they don't have a legal recourse to challenge the government personally. I think every citizen should have that right to challenge the government.
You have to show damages to be able to sue the government.
I think
it's not that easy. It's not as easy as
it doesn't matter. They should have the right to try.
Hey, let's move on real quick because I could spend a whole show talking
term
about
limits. Up until this year, I probably would have said no, but under the circumstances, I don't want.
No, because you run into the same thing.
I understand.
You run into the same issues with term limits. I don't like term limits outside of the president.
And I think they should expand that to a degree, even once Trump's out of office.
I'm fine with term limits on presidents, but everything else, no. The next one, which was number 4, is that we're on?
Yeah.
Require a balanced budget and limit federal spending and taxation.
Which means no taxation and don't spend anything on anyone who's poor.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, that's what that means.
I think most states. I'm not sure if all of them do, but I know most states have
some form of balanced budget issue. Yeah.
Well, a balanced budget amendment,
right?
Which is fine on a state level. It works
right. On a federal
because
level,
they're able to cut funding and do different things. On a national level, you wouldn't have Medicare, you wouldn't have Social Security, you wouldn't have food stamps, you wouldn't have basically.
Why wouldn't we have Social Security? I don't understand that. I keep talking. We pay into Social Security. Where does that money go if they take it away?
Because this is the thing. So the Social Security Trust Fund. I know a lot of people say it's full of IOUs and things like that.
But we're paying into it.
Hold on one second.
If you pay into
Hold on.
It should be guaranteed.
Hold on. The Social Security Trust Fund has over $2 trillion in it right now. It's invested in Treasury notes.
Right. Okay.
So it's actually counted into the debt.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay.
That's why. Because
if they get rid of it, what happens to the people who've been paying into it? They just sorry, your money's gone?
Well, the way that Social Security was created it wasn't created to have money in any in it at all. It's supposed to pay out as it brings it in. It wasn't.
I understand that.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, Dad. God damn it! Until the 1980s, that's how it worked. Mm-hmm. And then as they saw the baby boomers coming, the baby boomers were the first generation to pay for not only their parents' retirement but also their own retirement.
I understand.
In Social Security, so they doubled the payments into Social Security, which is why there's such a huge trust fund right now. There's such a large amount in the trust fund. As the baby boomers die out, that number will reduce, and we'll go back to having something more similar to what it was originally, which is paying out as it brings in. So it wasn't made to have a bunch of money in it.
Right. It's not about that. I'm just saying what you pay in is what you get back.
Correct.
So if the way they talk, getting rid of it or going away, what happens to the people who've already paid into it?
It's not going away. What they want to do is they want to privatize it and invest. Instead of investing the money in Treasury notes, which is constitutionally backed investment,
right.
They want to take that money and they want to invest it in the stock market. So their buddies on Wall Street can make money off of it and play around with it.
Fair enough.
Ultimately lose the fucking money, and then it's not there anymore.
That's my point. How is that legal?
So if it goes, because it's like any investment. If you take money and invest it in the stock market but
that's my money.
I know that.
They're taking my money.
I'm not giving them permission to do that. Here's the thing. If you invest that money and the market goes belly up, you can't sue the stock market because of it.
No, but if my money is taken against my will...
It's not taken against the will because, once again, you're voting those people in office. This is, once again, where I say elections have consequences.
Well, I've been saying it forever, too. I've always said it.
So, like I said, balanced budget works on a state level. It wouldn't work on a federal level. Because the other thing is, in an economic downturn, the government needs to have the ability to borrow money to stimulate the economy.
Not only that, but our currency itself comes with debt.
Yes.
So we're never going to balance the budget anyway.
No. And like I said, because of Social Security, because that $2 to $3 trillion that's owed in Treasury notes, that debt isn't extinguishable unless you get rid of Social Security.
Yeah.
So you can't have a balanced budget and have Social Security.
Right. But again, that's what they want.
Because it's non-distinguishable debt.
That's what they want.
So number 5 is define a deadline to file taxes. And he suggested 1 day before the next federal election. What is the point of that? I don't
understand that one either. I don't have anything to yell about.
Yeah,
on that one.
No, because
I don't get it.
That's literally all my note says. I'm not sure what the point of this would be.
That's all my list says too.
So I guess number 6, subject federal departments and bureaucratic regulations to periodic reauthorization.
Technically, then we do that every time we reelect somebody.
Yeah, pretty much.
When you get a new administration in, all that shit gets done anyway.
Yeah,
that's stupid. That was a waste of fucking time.
Pretty much. Well, I see.
Unless you're making it, then you have to change it up, and then they probably want it done every 2 years rather than every 4 years.
And that was the thing I was looking at is, if you're changing it, I don't know. I just don't think it'd be really good to change it, because I think they're talking about actually reauthorizing actual departments,
right? Not necessarily people within them.
Yes.
Yeah. Well. That's so they can get rid of the EPA like they want to,
periodic
the Department
review.
of Education.
I'm fine with a review every so many years or whatever, or an audit like they should do with.
Like I said, they kind of do that anyway. When you get a new president,
he has
to put his own people in. They have to reevaluate the whole situation anyway.
Yeah, so
if they're competent,
to a certain extent, we already kind of do that, but yeah, in a certain way. The next one. Number 7, which is create a more specific definition of the Commerce Clause.
Which I don't know what the Commerce Clause is. So
basically, the Commerce Clause regulates interstate commerce, commerce with foreign countries, and commerce with Native American tribes.
I don't understand what's so wrong with the way we do it now. I mean, maybe foreign.
Because here's the thing: when they passed the Affordable Care Act, it was passed under the Commerce Clause. That was the justification of. That's how they classified it as a tax.
Okay.
So that's I think where a lot of the concerns come from. But the Commerce Clause was also used widely in the 1960s for the fight for civil rights, by saying that that was kind of the justification for saying that businesses couldn't discriminate against minorities.
Right.
It was under the.
The next one, I'm curious about this one. Limit eminent domain powers. I'm okay with that unless it means that it would eliminate the power of the government to say, make areas protected.
Well, see, and eminent domain is the government saying, okay, well, we need to put in new sewer systems, so we need to take 5 feet of your property.
Right.
But
is it also the same power that they have to say create national parks and
that
stuff
I'm
like
not
that?
Sure.
Or sell off national parks?
Well, see, and this is the thing is eminent domain even a real issue? Because really,
not that I've ever noticed,
because
no one's going to come to your house and say we want your property and we have
and if they do,
they have to give you market value
because of the Fifth Amendment.
Right.
Under the Fifth Amendment, if they take your private property for public use, you've got to be compensated for it.
Right.
And it's got to be just compensation.
Right. Well, market value, I would imagine.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
That's why I'm wondering because that's what I don't understand. The eminent domain powers aren't really exercised, and when they are, they're exercised in a way
there's
compensation. There's no abuse.
Yeah. So
the only thing I can figure is they want to eliminate that so they can start buying up, say, national parks.
Maybe.
And start drilling on them.
But that's in reverse, though. That's not.
Well, no. But what it does is it limits the government's power to say no.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
So the corporations can come in and say,
maybe.
We want Yellowstone National Park because there's a lot of oil under that ground.
Maybe. I got you.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's fine because we're the government. We don't have any power on that anymore.
The next one I kind of have the next two are kind of both pretty similar, and I've got really big issues with both of them. I'll do both of them together. So number 9 is allow states to more easily amend the U.S. Constitution by bypassing Congress.
Okay.
And number 10 is create a process where 2/3 of the states can nullify federal law.
It seems a little shady to me. It sounds, there's some element where you're like, maybe okay, I think I get that, but it sounds shady to me.
Well, yeah, because I guess it depends.
Well, 2/3 of the states. The problem is that's a lot of open land and not a big population.
Well, yeah. So all you would need is 34 out of the 50 states.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. 34 of the. Say take the South for example. You could get the whole South, and maybe part of the Midwest, and then they're going to govern the whole country.
I'm fine with something.
And they're kind of already doing that anyway with the electoral college.
I'm fine with 2/3. I'm sorry. I'm fine with nullifying federal law, but not 2/3. If you want to do like 4/5, so you need 40 of the 50 states, then that's probably more reasonable.
Yeah, maybe.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
The other thing is where it's making it more easily making it more easy to amend the U.S. Constitution, I guess it really depends on how easy they want it to be.
Right.
Because currently, you need, like I said before, well, with the other one, you need 2/3 of the states to amend the U.S. Constitution.
Right. That's the one I see nothing but shadiness in. Because if you're making it easier, that means that if you're the party in power, you can get constitutional amendments put in. Now, granted, so can the next party come in. But then it's just a clusterfuck of laws changing, and there's no value to it.
Exactly, because that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking, are you going to want to go with like a simple majority?
Well, and who's to say?
Because if that's the case, I mean, that's pretty easy to come by. Hell, they already have, I want to say, 24 states. So get another state or two,
right?
And there's you can do whatever you want to bypass Congress.
And then at that point, what's the point of having Congress anyway?
Exactly.
So, I mean, I see, again, it just seems shady to me, because I know the people who are financing this, and I know the people who are pushing for this. I know what their agendas are. For the most part,
regardless of what their agendas are, I don't want it to be so easily anything. I don't want the Constitution to be so easily rewritten.
Well, not only that, but the argument for the Electoral College is that it gives states that don't have huge populations the same level of voice, the same value of voice in elections, in federal elections. What this is doing is that's keeping that, but it's changing it for laws.
Yes,
it's saying no, only these states that don't have the bigger population are going to dictate the laws for the rest of the country, and that's it's like in reverse, and I don't like that at all.
So the last one, which is require photo ID to vote and limit early voting.
Did you have to show your ID to vote the other day?
I was asked for my ID, but if you do not, and I saw it posted all over the place that if you don't have a photo ID, you could sign an affidavit to vote.
See, they didn't even give me that option. I handed over my voter card, my voter registration card, and she goes, "I need your driver's license."
Yeah.
I need your driver's license. There was no choice. Do you have a driver's license? No. She needed my driver's license. And I didn't want to start a scene, but it pissed me off a little bit. Because I had my voter card. They give that to you for a reason.
Yeah. In Michigan, if you don't have a photo ID, you can sign an affidavit to state who you are.
Because every person who registers to vote gets a fucking voter registration card. Yeah. That should be all you need.
Well, see, I'm okay with requiring a photo ID to vote, but only if photo IDs are made available to everyone for no cost. Right. And I'm talking not having to go to the Secretary of State to get an ID. I'm talking about having vans that will drive around through your neighborhood and do a fucking ID.
Well, how would they verify that that's you? I mean,
hey, you know what? They have rolling consulates. Do you know that?
No.
So yeah, if you're a Mexican national living in Nashville, because they do it in Nashville. That's where I worked in immigration, so I know that. A couple times a year, they have a rolling consulate that come through, and you can go do passports and matricula cards, which is their little ID card down there. So you can do the same thing with a voter ID card or a national ID card here.
I don't know, man. I would think I'd maybe go as far as to say have a van that drives around and drives people to the Secretary of State to get their ID. But I think you have to be able to prove that you're who you are to get an ID.
Well, even if the requirement wouldn't be any different if a van drove through your neighborhood.
So you still have to be able to prove that you're you.
Yeah, you still have to prove who you
are.
Yeah,
as long as you.
But
I'm not worried about.
It would bring the IDs to you, not you going to the ID. Because that's the problem is there's a lot of people
who can't get to the Secretary of State.
Exactly. So if making an ID required, but not making it free, basically constitutes
it's tax. It's a voting tax.
It's a voting tax.
I agree. My biggest problem was I have a voter identification. That's my card. That is sent to me when I registered to vote. Why did you need my driver's license? You're requiring me to now give two forms of identification, essentially. That's what pissed me off.
Yeah.
I wasn't, like I said, I didn't want to start a scene, and it was a little old lady, but she was very forceful. But I didn't want to yell at a little old lady. Yeah. Especially since she's just volunteering. I understand that, but, I have my voter card. It's right there. It tells you everything you need to know. It's got my address on it. It's got my voter district on it. Everything.
I know.
Everything you need to know is right there. Move me along.
Yeah.
If I don't have that, Here's my ID.
Like I said, so I mean, if it's, I'm fine with requiring a photo ID if it's widely available and
I
available
agree with
for
that.
free.
I agree with that.
But the funny thing is, whenever I brought that up to people, they're like, "Well, no, you can't do that. It costs too much money." Well, if you want to require photo ID, that's the only way to do it.
Right. Yeah, because like you said, otherwise it's a tax.
And I'm fine with it. I think there should. Why isn't there a national ID? I believe every other country in the world basically has a national ID.
Most of the other countries also have universal health care, and you have to have some form of nationalized identification for your health care.
So I don't know, but that's all 11 of them. I know we ran through some of them pretty quick, but
yeah.
I mean, there's tons of information online about it. If you want to go online and check it out, it's called the Liberty. They're called the Liberty Amendments.
Do you remember the name of that lady who was on Bill Maher the other night?
I don't.
Let me see if I can find her name, because her book is kind of talking about the negative side of those things. So if you read this book, I think you should read hers as well as a counterpoint.
Counterpoint.
Yeah. Just to have a broad look at it.
Both sides of the argument.
Both sides of the argument. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just there's definitely an effort out there to put these or put similar amendments in place in the Constitution. It's really interesting to me that you don't see things, you don't see anything discussed on left-leaning media or people from the left talking about anything like this.
All you see in the media right now is you've got the conservative side, which is Trump is awesome, the Democrats are trying to kill him, and the other side is Trump is a criminal, look at what his lawyer does. Nancy McLean, MacLean.
Okay.
Malcolm Nance actually wrote a book. I forgot what his was about, but he was on Bill Maher last week too. I want to read his too. It has more to do with like national security issues and things like that. Yeah. But I'm curious to read his.
Yeah, so I'd say if you're interested in these amendments or the process or anything,
or the potential problems with it, because I think there's probably, on a rational level, there's probably far more problems with these things than there are benefits.
And we didn't have a whole lot of time to discuss them.
No, because we yelled about other things for 45 minutes.
40 minutes or so. But I don't know, Ian, you got anything to add? I mean,
no.
Like I said,
I'll continue breaking down the deep state for y'all.
Yeah, something like that. Hey, you know what? It would be really interesting, Ian.
What's that?
If you had like your own show where you could like talk about that kind of stuff.
It would be interesting, but I honestly don't.
I said that because Ian had a show and he did like 3 episodes.
Yeah, well, it got tough because the format was essentially set up for me to rant about current events, but the problem is by the time I got something going, 10 other things had already happened, and I could never catch up because it's not a daily thing. If I was doing it daily, I mean,
and that's like when we were doing the show Partisan Bites.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of the same problem essentially because it's every other week. But
because what I did on because we took turns,
right? Mm-hmm.
And when it was my week to do the show, I just took like the top 5 news stories from the past 2 weeks and just kind of did something short. 5 minutes.
When I'm talking to somebody, I can talk off the cuff all day long. But when I'm talking by myself, I need some kind of a structure. Yeah, well, that's by the time I get it written out, it's old news.
Well, see, that's why I wouldn't write anything out. I would just kind of give myself because I wanted to talk about each topic for 5 minutes. I just wanted to touch on it, kind of give the quote unquote left perspective on it, and kind of move on. So I would give myself. So I'd write the topic and then give myself 4 or 5 bullet points. And then just kind of touch on each one and move on.
Yeah, it still sounds like a lot of work, and I'm a very, I'm sinfully lazy.
Okay, well, on that note, if you got any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@lifeandgeneralpodcast.com. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook, and check out our website and all of our previous episodes.
Sure. And hopefully our arguing didn't get too intense, but it sounded like it did for me.
I had fun talking about it.
No, it was good. We haven't talked, but my blood pressure was way up. Like I could feel my heart in my eyes.
It makes me almost want to talk about politics more often. But
I think we're going to have to because we've got the midterms coming up in November, so we're going to have a lot more to talk about then. Then we could take a break for a while, and then we'll just get into the normal election cycle for 2020. So,
all right, well,
there'll be plenty of opportunity for us to talk about politics.
All right, well, until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you some cobras, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, them niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that y'all sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bruh. We taking the dub. Hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon. Tell them get well soon. Know you sick as fuck. Get well soon.
Oh shit. Watch out, you the God, Billy. Oh shit. Right now, and I'm smiling in your face, bitch. With a gold smile, you should probably make placement to your eye. Niggas sick as fuck. Standing with niggas. Who down for that party? Who down for some bitches who showing their bodies? Swear to God, nigga, this Molly got me up and rolling. These bodies of water. Bring that shit in bottles.